Hello again. I know it's been a while since I've done one of these updates, and there's a good reason for it. I spent quite a good deal of time in a plateau and I actually slid backwards. So I didn't want to do a video because the point of these videos is to offer helpful information. And if there's no helpful information, then it's just me complaining. So I'm on this side of it, and I can look back and tell you what happened, what I experienced, and the helpful things to get me here to a better spot. So I hope you're doing well. I know a lot of people are fighting for their old former selves through post-viral fatigue, and I'm right there with you. I'm sending you good vibes. Before I go any further, I want to remind you, I'm not a doctor. I'm not offering any medical advice. It's just me on the internet from one friend to another. So again, I hope you're doing well. Let's get started. In this video, I'm going to talk about what it was that happened, the doctors that I'm seeing, and a couple supplements, and my future plan to continue to help me recover from the viral damage after COVID. From here on out, I will say C flu because I know that censorship is real and I don't want this video tagged in any way. So just a refresher, I got sick in January. Somebody very close to me died and I was at the hospital with them in California, and it wasn't called the C flu yet. It wasn't called anything. I didn't find out that I was so sick, and that's what I had until about, I think it was the end of March, maybe mid-March, end of March. And then after that, it was just kind of this scramble to figure out why my body was having such a hard time. So what happened was, even though I was doing all the right things and getting my rest and not working as hard and monitoring my energy output, eating really well and taking more supplements, also refresher, if you didn't see my other two videos, I have Lyme disease, so I'm one of those people with a pre-existing condition, and COVID or C-flu just has extra fun in your body with that. And I also had a mold exposure just 2 months before I was pretty sick, and I have some other things going on, and so anyway. Fast forward. So I was doing well and my energy was getting better, and my pain was definitely improving, and then I plateaued, and for a few weeks I couldn't get beyond like an 8-minute workout. And I'm a fitness trainer, so there should be no problem working out, but I couldn't. So I was sleeping 9 to 10 hours a night. I was waking up very unrefreshed and having just the worst pain through my body. I had pain in my bones, I had pain in my joints, I had pain in my skin, I had pain in like muscles, everything up and down my spine, and it was crazy. And I had some neurological issues getting worse as well. Even now, you might be able to tell a difference between this video and other videos. There's some muscles on this side of my face that aren't working like they were, and yeah, so I'll touch base on that in a second. So we kind of I freaked out. I say we, but I freaked out a little bit, and I went to the two healthcare professionals that I'm seeing and just updated them on, this is what I'm experiencing and what do you think? And they said that my symptoms were such that we finally had to absolutely roll out MS, because clinically it looks like I had MS. It was so many overlapping symptoms. I went and had an MRI. I hated it, but it was clear. So I had 2 weeks of migraines before the MRI, and the MRI showed lesions from the migraines, but nothing else. So everything was clear in my brain, which, okay, good. That makes me feel good, but why do I have so much problem? So the current belief now, where my healthcare professionals have arrived at after some series of blood work and different tests, lab tests, is that the C flu caused a lot of damage, obviously, and it still seems to be causing some damage, even though now it was more than 10 months ago that I was sick. So I haven't really experienced how something can just keep going and going in your body. That's not a good feeling. and it kicked up all of my Lyme disease symptoms, and that's why I'm having neurological issues. So if you don't have Lyme disease, you might not have the neurological issues that I do. But if you did have Lyme disease and you are unfortunate to get the C flu, you might be experiencing some of this too. So I wanted you to know you're not alone. But some things that have really helped calm down the pain, help me with my brain, just have better endurance through my body to get through my day. I have big days too. I'm still at 80% of what I can work. So I haven't really been able to return to work like I was in 2019. But that's okay. I get a lot done. It's just my days are long. You know, you're a small business owner and the year is 2020. You're busy. So if you can work, you're gonna work. I wrote everything down, so I didn't want to leave anything out. And I still take 2 recovery breaks almost every day. Every once in a while, especially in the last 2 weeks, I've had really good days and I only needed 1 recovery break for about 15 or 20 minutes. And I haven't napped or needed to nap in the middle of my day, like on lunch or take a car nap. So I think that's really good progress. It's funny the things that you can celebrate. I'm still eating easy. So through this summer, I pureed fruits and vegetables for smoothies, and now I'm pureeing vegetables for soups. So any kind of just really getting the nutrition in and eating easy. So overcooked quinoa, overcooked brown rice, and homemade broths, things like that that are going to be so nutritious for your body, and lots of minerals. So Celtic sea salt, and I will soak nuts overnight, then drain and rinse them and puree them and add them to the soup. So I'm getting healthy fats, and I'm trying, you guys. It's a chore. I wanted to take a moment and say you have to fight. Some people have reached out to me and they have said that they've had fatigue for a long time before the year 2020, but it was from a viral infection before. And you go to the doctor and the doctor's like, there's no real reason for you to feel like how you feel, or you get your labs and everything just looks normal and fine, but you don't feel normal and fine, and then the doctors don't know how to help you. So I promise you, I've had chronic fatigue before. I climbed my way out of it. I've had a mold exposure, recovered from that. I was diagnosed with Lyme disease 5 or 6 years ago. I was getting on top of that, and you have to be so active. You can't sit and wait for this to go away. This does not go away. You find a doctor that helps you, and you get busy working on this every single day. You're doing something at a rate that you can do, but whether it's like a 5-minute walk or just some exercises, even if you're sitting in a chair, whatever you need to do, you have to do it, because this doesn't go away on its own. You have to climb your way out of it. And what else are you going to do? You can't, just live half of a life for the rest of your days. So you're worth fighting for. So I wanted to give you a, come on, we can do this. We can do this. The neurological symptoms I had are ridiculous. I won't go into all of them, but if you hear me slur, I'm not drunk. There's just like those muscles, and I have trouble saying things like suggestion or digestion. It's just like almost impossible to do and not seem like you're drunk. And so now that we've had a few months of me having whatever damage has gone on in my body, despite my efforts, my thyroid went from, it's a little sluggish and the numbers are low, to now there's actually something diagnosable. So I'm going to try to stay off of any thyroid medication and do things as naturally as possible. I don't take any medication right now. Everything I do is through food, through brain-body connection, exercises with functional fitness training, and supplements. That's really important to me, because I feel like once you start medication, you don't stop. And then, so I have thyroid deficiency, and I won't go into it, but that's a common thing, and after the C flu. And then I'm adrenal deficiency, which is like, well, no duh, your whole body is having this struggle, so of course your adrenals are going to be exhausted. But I think that's one of the reasons why it honestly feels like I'm wearing a suit made out of lead. You go up the stairs, you cannot get enough oxygen. It just feels so hard to lift laundry baskets or to wash your hair, or some days like the fatigue is just awful. So I think that's really common and people are experiencing that. And it's important for you to have a baseline of your activity and understand, you're going to be able to spend so much battery power, but you have to stop at that 75-80% mark. You cannot deplete yourself and then expect one night of rest and then you'll be okay for the next day. It's not going to work like that. So you have to take things to 75-80%, and then whatever you didn't get done, it's fine. We're going to be okay. So let's see. For the neurological issues and the neurological pain, my doctor put me on this supplement, which is PEA, and it's short for a really long word that I'm not even going to try. But I feel like within 2 weeks' time, I started noticing a lot less pain. Most of my issues are on the left side, which is very common with Lyme, but also MS, and that's why the doctors were like, you really need to get tested with the MRI. But this really did help, and it also helped the double vision that I was experiencing in my left eye as well. So that's PEA by Enzyme Science. Okay, so that was very helpful. And this was a big one. This was a lot of help. So I take 3 of these a day, and this is Innate by, the brand is Innate, and it's Inflamma Complete. So it's got turmeric and the piperine, the black pepper. Don't take turmeric without black pepper. You need both. So then it has another thing like, cranberry, ginger, but holy basil. And that is pretty important because that's an adaptogen. So when you have trouble with your thyroid, when you have trouble with your gut, and when you have trouble with your adrenals, those adaptogens like holy basil and ashwagandha are pretty important. So this was a huge one. Like in about 2.5 weeks, I had a reduction in pain that was like, oh my gosh, you just felt so much better. You felt like you just recently took a hot shower, and that was like a really good thing to experience. And so one of my health professionals did a lot of research through the neurological issues, but also one thing that's come back for me, unfortunately, is a gut infection. And I don't know if you've ever experienced such severe problems with your gut. It's the worst, right? So we won't really go into those details because it's awful, but I still need to take the Smooth Move tea and the magnesium citrate and drink like 100 ounces of water a day because I have to keep things regular. And if I'm not putting so much effort into it, they're not regular. And then if my body's trying to get rid of old viral bacteria, debris, like things like that, it's not cleaning out. So I have to stay regular. But this is Omega Pure, and it's Arctic Oils, I think by Zymogen, or no, it's by Arctic Oils. Okay, so with fish oil, you got to be careful because a lot of companies could have fillers or they could have heavy metals. And this one was approved by my doctor, which I completely trust her because she gets into the nitty-gritty of things. This was about 3 weeks. I really noticed my brain seemed to be better working at the computer, like I didn't get as tired. And then I feel very strongly that this is helping some muscles that they were in like daily spasms. Now, keep in mind, I'm a fitness trainer and a body worker professional. I know how to get my muscles like loose and the connective tissue restored. And I had like these set of muscles, like this kinetic chain that would just absolutely lock up and spasm. And it hasn't been doing that for 2 weeks. So I'm like, oh, happy dance, because it feels so good to not have that happen. So the fish oils, I take just 2 a day, but it's 2 grams of those fish oils. And I really feel that has been such a difference in my brain, in the nerves, like the fat padding around my nerves. It calmed things down, and my muscles haven't been in spasms. So, whew, okay, good stuff. If you don't have a gut problem and you're digesting just fine, you probably don't need this next one. But I wasn't really absorbing D. So before I was sick in January, my doctor had put me on, my D was very low, and so I was put on 10,000 IUs of D, and we did 3 months of that, or 2.5, and then I ran my blood test for vitamin D, and it was at 53. 10,000 IUs is a mega dose. So my gut just wasn't breaking the D down, and it's so important. So this is a liposomal vitamin D through Zymogen, and it doesn't have to go to your gut. It just goes right into your bloodstream. And I take 7 drops of these, so that's 7,000 IUs. Now, just a word about that. There's a lot of misconceptions around vitamin D, and vitamin D has been used by good doctors for a long time. So when you hear that you're supposed to be getting 1,000 IUs of vitamin D, that is nothing. That's nothing. That is not very effective. 5,000 is what I've seen other doctors recommend, like for fighting cancer, your viral infections, bacterial infections, and for doing good for your hormones in your body. 5,000 IUs is usually where they start people at. So being that it's flu season and being that I'm trying to get rid of damage and blah, 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 7,000 is where I'm at right now. And then we're going to retest in probably a couple months. Okay, so almost done. Stay with me. So, blah, 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 blah. Oh, neuroplasticity. Yay. So 2 more things to go over. Neuroplasticity, because if you've ever experienced neurological damage or neuro-Lyme disease, it's like it eats away parts of your brain or something. Your word recall is really hard. The cognition, your memory, it's just like the worst to try to be an adult and sound intelligent because you can't recall half of the stuff that you know. So I'm going to be working on neuroplasticity. Try this with me. Put up your dukes and then extend a thumb and a pinky and then do the other one. Yeah. How many can you do? So I am doing this every day, and as you can see, I'm pretty darn good at it. So you have to start doing exercises like this. That's a real challenge with brain-body connection, and then you start firing synapses together. And so I'm all about that in my personal training anyway. Like when I work with seniors, neuroplasticity has been a part of our fitness studio for years, and now I just need it more than ever. But I really feel good about walking forward into some neuroplasticity, and that stuff takes like 6 to 8 months. That's just a little fun thing to do, but when you rewire your brain, it's going to take a while. And then the other thing is my doctor wants me to do low dose naltrexone. Now I looked this up, and it's a medicine, and I hem and haw about it, and I go back and forth, and she said that it would be temporary, but probably up to a year, to reduce the pain that's left, to fight inflammation back, and for my body to handle the amount of detoxing and correction that I need to do and whatever is in my gut infection. She's like, it's going to be a wild ride and you need an extra help systemically. And so that's the thing where I'm like, it's looking like likely going to happen, but if it does or if it doesn't, I'm still on the right path. I'm doing things every day to take care of myself. You will too. Stick with it. You're worth it. One more thing I totally forgot to mention, a wonderful company that was put together to help people that are on the other side of the sea flu. You can go to YouTube, look for Recover. It's RICOVR. And they have a bunch of professionals. It's a European charity, and they've put together videos about how to overcome day to day and manage chronic fatigue and exhaustion with this viral infection. So I wanted to give you that information. I think their videos are awesome, and it definitely is helpful. Keep fighting.